Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment class. We are here with a beautiful soul who is channeling the Arcturians and the Arcturian light frequencies. Carol Nayach is with us to share how we can open to receive these frequencies, and it involves surrendering the ego to the divine source. Hi, Carol, welcome.
Hello to you. It's lovely to be here with you.
It is lovely to meet you as well. Can you start by sharing your connection to the Arcturians? You actually embodied your Arcturian self. Tell us about that.
Well, like most people, I'd never heard of the Arcturians, but I did find a book by David Miller, actually, who'd been channeling the Arcturians for some time. And when I received the book, I just picked up the book, opened it in the middle, read a paragraph, and said to myself, oh, I think I'm going to need to meditate with this. And as soon as I closed my eyes and went within, Helioa immediately came down through my crown into my heart and started working with me in my heart. And I thought, well, it looks like I'm going to be working with the Arcturians. So I then discovered, of course, that I am an Arcturian starseed and had to do lots and lots of inner work, of course, as we all do, to become a clear channel for their energies, which is mainly what I work with.
And how was that when you began to integrate that? What was that like to trust this process?
Well, I don't know why, because, there's a lot of problems with trust with a lot of people, but I always trusted absolutely. My ability took quite a while, a lot of inner work to transmute one's own lack of confidence, low self-esteem, not being good enough. I'm sure there's some of it still left, but it took quite some time to clear myself of those emotional blocks. And of course, the clearer one becomes, then the more energy and light one can channel, the more one's own frequency rises. And it was wonderful for me when I first began to really feel the presences of other beings, to feel that, if I asked for Jesus Sananda, he would be there with his energy. And to know that I could channel any of the higher beings, really, because one simply asks and they are immediately there. And how wonderful is that?
Yes, that is beautiful. So we can all do this. And this is where we are moving as humanity. So, Carol, isn't it fascinating that Tom Kenyon, when he wrote his book on the Arcturians, he was very clear that Jesus is Arcturian. So that's fascinating, wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you say?
Yes, but you know, the Arcturians, of course, are the oldest civilization in this section of the universe, aren't they? And I believe that they were the first ones to come to this planet in the very beginning. And so, of course, Jesus is Arcturian, but I believe that he's moved into a higher level now and that he is within the central sun and able to move in and out of the central sun for us and his work with us.
So, the Arcturians, what have you learned about their mission helping us in this ascension process?
Well, the information I have that the Arcturians are in charge of our ascension process, obviously working with many, many others, you know, all the ascended masters, angels, archangels, star systems, and so on, are all bringing in their energies. And I felt for some time that they've all come into working in oneness with the energies that are being sent in. But ascending planets, the Arcturians say, is something that they've been doing for eons. And it's also said that once they put their energy around a planet, that the beings on that planet evolve very quickly. And you know, their starships, you just mention them, just call them when you want to do some wonderful planetary work or something, and you just ask for their starship, it's immediately above. And it's a consciousness that I think for humans is very difficult to comprehend, how beings can have a consciousness that is that huge, you know.
Well, it's amazing, and we are here to identify our own starseed origins and accelerate our own starseed mission. So, how do we do this? This is a beautiful opportunity. Here we are on this 222 day, and this whole year is a 222 day. What would you say about these 222 key code vibrations?
Well, yes, exactly. It is how it is bringing us into unification, into balance, isn't it, with the divine masculine and divine feminine. And of course, the planet Gaia is also receiving these activations. And I feel it's very important that we remain in resonance with Gaia as her frequency is rising. I do feel that recently she has received a huge activation of light into her core, her heart, that it's like the sun has been activated within her core. So a huge, brilliant light. And that light is also within us when we wish to connect to it through her. By connecting to her, then we also connect to that brilliant light within our own hearts. And I feel that there will be more activations as the divine feminine comes in more and more powerfully until that moment of complete unification arrives. And we will see what happens then. But I think it would be quite a big experience for all of us. So if you ask, I think you asked, what do we do? What is it for us to do? Well, I think we all know about our own inner work, don't we? About conscious breathing, being in one's I am presence, living from our hearts rather than our minds, and so on. So we find that through our inner work, more and more of our shadow self is dissolved, isn't it? And it becomes easier and easier to be in the present moment, in one's I am presence, and to make that connection to one's higher self or fifth dimensional self. I found over the last few weeks or so that the connection to the higher self is much easier. So from our soul star chakra above our head, we make that call to our fifth dimensional self to come down, and it descends into our aura, merges with our human self within our heart. And so what we need to do, of course, is to make that connection as often as we can, isn't it? And to continue to raise our frequency. And I don't feel that we can really raise our frequency ourselves. I feel it's about coming into that inner place and asking our higher self or our guides, teachers, the Arcturians, to raise us up. And they're coming ever closer, ever more powerfully. And the activations are given to us. It's not that we can go out and get them. As long as we come within and come into the beingness within, we are able to receive what is given by grace. And very much is being given at the moment, isn't it? As we can really feel we're being given all the activations that we've been waiting for. And so much light and energy is coming into the body. It can actually be very difficult for the body to absorb it all.
Very interesting that you said just in the last couple of weeks, you felt that higher self connection even more deeply. And we've been sharing in this program how the start of this year seemed to be very intense for some people. Others reported just a vagueness about it. And that is an ego surrender, where it's just our memory of the old world that is keeping that old world in our reality. So as we move through this year and we bring in our higher self, call on our higher self and our guides to raise our frequency, that's exquisite, because we can literally come up with solutions for new earth creations by doing that. Is there any particular strategy or process that you use for calling on your guides or your higher self for that raising of a frequency?
Well, one just asks and they're there. I think in the beginning, perhaps it takes some time to develop that sensitivity. You know, we talked about trust earlier. Before one has developed that sensitivity to be able to feel their energy, feel their presence, then one does have to do it on trust. But it does come. And, you know, the way the fifth dimension can manipulate the third dimension is, you know, something that's quite beyond us, isn't it? But just to surrender to the higher self and ask the higher self to take charge in any situation. And it's quite amazing what can actually happen around you. You know, it could be something so simple as the parking space. And as you turn the corner, someone moves out and there's your space, you know. But in much more complicated situations, they always find a solution.
They always find a solution. Yes,
We
and
surrender to it rather than thinking we can do it ourselves. We can work it out, you know, we're in charge. It's that letting go of being in charge, isn't it? And allowing the higher self to take charge. Yeah, I mean, I love something that I once heard. Any third dimensional problem has a fifth dimensional solution.
We are feeling into that, truly feeling into that right
Yeah,
now. And this is that shift. This is the shift that
yeah,
we're here to accommodate. So it could be in every situation. It really is an awareness and a presence, but it will get easier and easier for us to
yeah.
recognize when we're connected to our higher self in a deep way, embodying our higher self, where, for example, we could be in a situation with a group of people or a small group of people, a conversation. There's so much to converse about that we might not agree on. But if we take that higher self perspective, then it really is amazing what could come about. That, for one thing, we might not react in the same way. If
Yeah,
we take a breath and call on the
yeah,
higher self, I think the key word
yeah,
was ask. Can you
yeah.
expand on that a little bit more about the miracles that could happen?
Well, the laws of the fifth dimension are totally different from the third dimension. So it's the opportunity to bring what we might call magic into life. So I love to work with Lord Merlin, who I believe is an aspect of Saint Germain, who is, of course, Arcturian. But just to call in that energy of Lord Merlin, when his energy comes in, it's very light, it's very joyful, almost playful, and it's his energy that creates miracles. And we call it miracles because it is outside of what happens in the third dimension. But of course, in the fifth dimension, it is, let's say, normal. It's just the way the fifth dimension works. So wonderful to bring in the energy of Lord Merlin. And also with Lord Merlin, one can experience the joy and the lightness of spiritual work, whereas we all usually take it so seriously, don't we? And we're concentrating and focusing on whatever, and it's so serious. But when Lord Merlin's around, it's just light and joyful, and it's happening effortlessly. And I think that's one very important thing that I've learned that I know some people still find difficult when engaged in spiritual work, particularly if it's planetary work. It's quite important to work without effort. No effort needs to be made. One simply rests within, in that place of non-doing, in surrender, open to receive, and allow the Arcturians or whoever to simply work through you. So it's not done by you, it's just done through you, as the divine is allowed to move through you.
We are allowing that to happen right now. So, can you guide us into how we would surrender the ego? And you are welcome to do a process or channel energies for us in a little mini
Okay.
session.
Right, so perfect time to go into meditation then if we're going to learn more about surrender, shall we? Great, okay. Well, thank you all for joining me today. And I would like to point out that the Arcturians are present with us all, and many other beings are also bringing in their energies, for it is, of course, a very powerful and important time, not only for each one of us, but for all life on this planet, and of course, for our beloved Earth, Mother Gaia. So let us all move into a meditation together. Let's begin by breathing. As we simply bring our awareness to our breath. As we breathe down into the body and allow the body to relax, to let go. The body loves to let go. And as we move out of our minds into the body, so the mind begins to still and the emotions come into better balance. And as we breathe, so we find ourselves moving more deeply within. You may also already sense the presence of the energies that are surrounding us. And as we breathe, we become aware of our high heart, and we allow our focus to rest within our heart space. And we notice that we are also aware of the sensation within our physical bodies. The Arcturians send a shower of light now from above your head down through your crown, through your central column, and through your aura. This is the clearing and cleansing energy, removing lower vibrational energies from your energy field. And as this takes place, they can begin to raise the frequency in your aura. There's nothing you need to do here, simply to rest within, moving ever more deeply into that space within of non-doing. So in this meditation, we give you a connection to the Arcturians, which you will be able to return to at any time you wish. So let us spend a few minutes as you gradually come into resonance with the frequencies which they are providing for you, for their consciousness surrounds our circle, filling our circle with their beautiful blue light, which is loving, comforting, and bringing you into a very peaceful place within. As they begin to balance your energy bodies, bringing all into alignment within, you find yourself feeling deeply peaceful. The Arcturian consciousness is not only around you, but moving into your very being as you accept them. Their energy descends through your soul star chakra above your head and moves downwards. It arrives through your third eye. It moves into your heart space and it fills your body and aura. The beautiful Arcturian blue light becoming one with you. As you continue to make your connection with the Arcturians, you will find you become more and more sensitive to their finer energies. It moves you into a state of bliss. Experience within now the blissfulness of this higher frequency. Through practice, you experience more and more of this divine light, and you learn that most of this light is actually your own light, the light of your soul, entering into your being and igniting within your high heart. There is so much light within you now. That you can affirm, I am the being of light. I am love. I am. As you experience your I am presence within your high heart, you know yourself to be the divine being within a physical body upon this earth plane. You have a knowing, a feeling deep within of your true essence. And you can see quite clearly the distinction between your divine essence within and the ego self, which uses the mind, the intellect. We have come here, of course, to the earth to experience all that the earth has offered through the ego self, the emotional body, and so on. And the experiences have been many. The ego mind, the ego self, has taken charge, has taken control. And we have been led through many densities of experience. But this journey into third dimensional density can now come to its end. as we are in the process of returning to our fifth dimensional self, reconnecting with the ego being, the ego consciousness has been so disconnected from spirit. And we are all being activated now into the return to our connection to spirit, the divine flowing through our being, the divine consciousness present within the third dimensional experience whenever we make that choice to connect. So as we go forward on our journey, we learn we simply need to make this inner move and ask. We make the call to Jesus, Sananda, Pleiadians, Syrians, Arcturians, whoever we choose, and immediately their presence is there. So how can that be? Because all is one. There is one universal consciousness, the one consciousness of Source flowing through all things. And we are returning to this oneness. So as the divine feminine from Mother God enters through the central sun, amplified by the Arcturians and the wonderful energies of Sirius, and directed to this planet and to each one of us, we are gradually coming into balance, the masculine and feminine, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, reuniting within us, allowing the return within our high heart of our Christed state of being. And as you rest within your high heart, open to receive all that is being directed to you at this moment. The Christ within you is being ignited, if you will accept it. We know you go through difficult times. The ascension could be thought of as a spiral, sometimes at the front, sometimes at the back, but always the spiral is upwards. Its density is dissolved and transmuted. Higher light enters. More activations are available. And then you go back as the remaining density shows itself. Layers and layers, transmuting, transforming, until all that remains is the brilliant light of your true self. And the immensity of your soul opens up before you. And gradually, the multi-dimensional self For you as human beings go all the way to the Elohim, the creators of form, the creators of universes. So you have descended down through the dimensions into a human existence. You are here to hold the light of the world, to remain in your hearts in love, to resist moving into fear as you hold the frequencies of light and love for this world and for beloved Gaia. She cannot ascend without the star seeds, and we cannot ascend without her. We come into resonance with Gaia and move upwards together. Feel that connection now and allow it to expand within you. We are not expected to do it alone. We have multitudes of beautiful angels around each one of us, waiting to be invited, to be called upon. Their most beautiful energy of love and purity to enter in, to support you, to raise you, and to lead you along your ascension path. So we, the Arcturians, invite you to call upon us. We will be with you instantly. And now that we have made this connection to each one of you, the connection is always there. We cannot come in unless invited. So please ask. It is our greatest joy to assist you, to be invited to be with you. And the energies come in so many forms. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Jesus Ananda, and all the higher beings from the highest realms are all sending their energies with divine love. So feel the energies that are flowing through you. There's nothing you have to do with them. They are higher intelligence, higher consciousness, knowing where to go and what to do, or simply being in this energy. You are receiving healing, activations, information. And allow this flow of energy to move down through your body into your foundation, your pelvic area, and from there into your feet upon the ground and down through the earth into Gaia's heart and core. Feel yourself fully present within your I am presence, within the physical body, fully present upon this third dimensional earth plane in your physical body, full of the light of your soul. And when you are ready, feel free to open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I wish for everyone to hold and maintain this love and this light of our soul essence and the beings of light who are assisting us. Very potent, palpable, lovely. Wow.
Such a gift to receive these wonderful energies, isn't it?
Yes, I almost fell off my chair. Almost just like fell asleep at one
It's very
point.
easy to check out, isn't it? And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. They'll just lift you out of body, place you in a healing chamber on their starship Athena. And when they bring you back, you don't know where you've been or what's happened. Because it's such a high frequency, the 3D mind just checks out.
Yes. And at one point I felt a wave of heat. And that's something. I know it's different for everyone, but just to feel that and be deep within ourselves, it was exquisite. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And the feeling of that will get more recognizable when we do it, when we invite these energies in, when we ask.
Well, exactly. And we need, it's so important at this time to give ourselves as much quiet time as we can. And we find that it's such a beautiful space to be in. We just want to be there anyway. Not so much resistance like we used to have. You know, in the beginning, I wish I didn't have to meditate, but I know I do. Now it's, when am I going to have time to meditate? And ultimately, of course, to maintain one's I am presence connected to these energies until it becomes a permanent connection in us. And then there's no separation.
I see that world, and I know those watching and listening see that world as well. We can feel that world.
Yes.
So we invite everyone to hold this space, carry it with us, literally a walking meditation, this presence. Awesome. I'm so grateful that you shared this with us today and gave us the experience of it. And we invite our viewers to come back to it and really feel it, really embody it. And
That
so
would be wonderful.
that would be wonderful. Yes, this is how we do it. And without speaking too much, I'm going to ask you to speak. There's a way that people can work closely with you. And you've got an event coming up. We invite those to join you. It's a 4-hour togetherness event. Tell us about this, because
Well, I
we
mean, I think it's on February 26th, isn't it, at 4 p.m. UK, we said. So it will be 4 hours of questions and answers, teachings, and meditations. So basically, we'll be spending most of those 4 hours in this energy, which we experienced in our meditation now. So it's an opportunity to learn a lot. And over those 4 hours, the energy really builds. So we really receive a lot more light, a lot more energy, as well as what we learn from the Q&As and teachings and so on. So, you know, the Arcturians and all the beings that will be there with us know exactly what we need according to where each one is. You know, we're all at a different point on our journey and we all have different needs. And also what I find very interesting is we are all here to do something slightly different. So, you know, one person gives readings, another person channels energies, one person's here to write a book, and someone else, you know, to get involved in government, and somebody else is a scientist or in the medical profession to bring in different forms of healing, etc., etc. And it's quite interesting when we come together in a group how people's higher self, their fifth dimensional aspect, can bring through what their job is to bring through into the third dimension, into this world, so to speak. So we are working as a group in our third dimensional cells with time also in our fifth dimensional cells, but our higher aspects are just working all over the place, doing goodness knows what, when we give them that opportunity by connecting to them, coming into the group and being there, being available, surrendering, receiving. And we are multidimensional beings, and all dimensions of self are then able to work through us. And we only realize a tiny fraction of what is actually going on.
Beautiful. Yes. Amazing who shows up in the group. It's orchestrated from on high. And it's almost as if as soon as we make that decision to, for example, sign up for this, our higher selves are working. That is us asking. And a lot goes on to support us the minute we say yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are still basking in these energies. It's so lovely. It's pristine and exquisite.
Well, they're just flowing through, of course, and they will continue. It's not that they disconnect from us, it's we disconnect from them, of course. So it's wonderful that we are all just staying in those energies and being open to that flow.
Yes. Be open to the flow and stay in these energies. And as we say goodbye for this session, we thank all of the hearts who opened to receive this frequency. And we invite those watching and listening to join Carol in this live group transmission. Your heart will lead the way. And if it calls to you, we are excited to have you. You can look on this webpage and get information on how to register for that course. Carol, Thank you so much for this. As we say goodbye, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, thank you for being so wonderful. And think positive. Don't drop into negativity and fear. If you do, ask your angels, guides, and teachers to come in and lift you up, because we are here to hold the light, to radiate love for this world. That is why we are here. And it is a big job, and we're not going to let anyone down.
Absolutely not. And many of us, when we were tasked with this duty, coming into this incarnation, not only did we raise our hand to say, yes, we could do it, but we even laughed at it and said, how simple. Radiate love, we can do that. So
Well,
those are
the
beautiful.
past is disappearing, so all the suffering and trauma that we've held on to, it's just dissolving away. It's not even in our memories anymore. So we don't need to go and look for it, do we?
No,
The
no.
love, the joy, the beauty, the bliss of the fifth dimension, which is here. It's just for us to choose it, to choose to move into it.
We make that choice. We move into it now.
Yes.
And we ask for the assistance. Thank you, Carol. Carol Nayach, you are a beautiful channel of the Arcturian light, and we thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and to everyone who is within our circle.
Bright lights. Namaste.